Hello, Montezuma Elementary. This is kind of like a mini PD to quickly go over with you the Synchronous e-learning plan. We developed this plan last year, but never actually had to put it into place. This year, it's looking pretty likely that before the end of the winter, we're going to end up needing to use some synchronous learning days. So I'm going to walk through the highlights and explain some things to refresh your memory or introduce it to you if you're new to us, and just kind of explain the highlights. But there's a lot of details in here that you might want to read over yourself before we would hit that point, just to make sure you're prepared and to have a chance to ask any questions on things you might not understand. So this document right here at the beginning of this teacher guide is intended to be shared with parents. It is kind of a side-by-side comparison between the asynchronous days that they're very used to doing, and so are we, versus how things look different when we have to shift over to synchronous. This is also a very helpful guide for you as well, but it is intended to also be able to be printed and sent home to students, or a PDF sent out on rooms and other things like that. So the first thing you need to know, I'm going to go ahead and open this bigger so that we can see it better, is that students are going to need to take home devices, which is a whole big thing. You got to get chargers out of the carts. It would be best if the devices are charged as full as possible going home, but the student may still need their charger. Also, making sure that the devices are working. If you have a student whose device has been kind of problematic, it might save everyone some headaches if you sent home a loaner instead. I would just recommend that you have the students sign into that loaner at school before you send it home, because that first sign in of a new user can take a while and will go better on our school network. So sending home devices for sure. The schedule is a bit tricky. So Brian worked really hard on this today with the way the 5th and 6th grade is currently structured. So K-4 is pretty simple. You're just going to do a math block from 9 to 10:15 and then transition to your reading block from 10:15 to 10:45. We simply won't worry about science and social studies on a synchronous day for K-4. For 5, 6, however, this is kind of an outline. So 5th grade would follow this track, 6A this track, and 6B this track. So there's, about 50 minutes for each block there, for each subject matter for them. When we get to our sample lessons, I'll show you in a minute, there'll be a walkthrough for you as the teacher to help make sure you kind of understand how to follow this track as well. In terms of when the work will be done, whatever you're having the students do might be something they can complete during that live session time with you. You do need to actually teach something live. You can't just get on and give some directions and then let them work the rest of the time, but they may be able to complete their assignment when they're on live with you. They also can complete it after their live sessions, like in the afternoon. I would just caution you to keep the assignment as simple and time efficient as possible, because we definitely had issues with that with our first round of asynchronous learning, parents just saying that the workload was too much, it was taking too long. So we dialed that way back, and even more so with a synchronous day, because they're going to spend half the day just being in a live session with you. So we want to make sure that anything they have to complete afterwards is very small and minimal. Teacher support time, you should be available before and after the live sessions. So from 8:10 to 9, you should be available by email, and then after we did put a little lunch break in here, but after the live sessions, you should also be watching your email. Attendance. During a synchronous day, attendance is taken based on the student's connection live. So if they are present, if they're connected live for the whole session, they are definitely at school that day. Their attendance counts. If they are there for part of the time, we would consider that tardy, but still in attendance. And then if they never connect at all, that would be an actual absence. So that's basically how that works out there. This is a listing, especially for students and parents, of how to get connected to your teacher. So they're going to log into the Chromebook, click the classroom app at the bottom, enter the class based on the schedule, whichever teacher they need to go to, and then click the Google Meet Join button. So I want to walk through real quick how to make sure that you have this set up properly and ready to go so that they can follow these steps. And it should be the same 4 steps no matter what grade level they are or teacher they're trying to connect to. These steps are how they get connected to that Meet. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to open up Google Classroom. You just pull up a sample class. So over here on the side, there is a little box that says Google Meet. And if you've already generated the Meet link, it will say join. This is what we want it to say. If you haven't set up that part yet, it might say generate a Meet link. You'll click that link, make sure you have the visible to students toggle turned on so that this is available to them. And it's just that simple. They go to the classroom, the right classroom teacher, and click that join button under Google Meet. If you have not set up a Google Classroom space yet, that is something that will need to happen. I think most teachers have done that because you have to do that in order to use Lightspeed Relay in order to monitor students and help control their devices. So I think most of you have set up that Google Classroom space. But if you have not, I'll be happy to help you make sure that that gets accomplished and walk you through anything you need for that. You don't necessarily have to learn anything else about Google Classroom if it's not part of your daily routine, if it's not a tool that you use, but you need to have the classroom established with the students in it and with that Meet link generated so that they can connect for a synchronous learning day. Okay, moving back over to here. Specials. So special teachers, whatever is scheduled for that particular day, that's the schedule we follow for Synchronous. So you'll need to get your lesson to the appropriate teacher to pass on to the students. You will not actually connect live for live instruction. We just can't work it all into the schedule. So for the K4, that's pretty self-explanatory. For 5, 6, though, it's this last round that will be delivering that specials lesson. So whoever the students have at the end in this last session, that's the teacher that will give them their specials instruction. So if your special is going to 5th grade, you're going to want to get that to Bailey because she has 5th graders at the end. If your special is going to 6A, you'll need to get that to Corey. And if it's going to 6B, you'll need to get that to our science or social studies and social studies teacher, whoever that is next semester. So make sure and ask me questions if you're not sure how that should work. Okay, and then parents will need to contact the school. If you have any parents who say, I can't get my kid connected live during these times, we don't have the internet, or it's just not possible with our schedules or something like that. If there are special circumstances, please just refer those parents to make arrangements with Mr. Emmert. Mr. Emmert will arrange how to make up those makeup things with students who are not able to connect live. So just refer them to contact the building principal. Okay. Oh, dang it. Hold on. Didn't mean to close that tab. Okay, so moving down here. So some sample plans. If you click this button, these are just samples. You don't have to follow these, but they're just to give you some good ideas. So K-4, this is just kind of showing you the schedule, but kind of giving you some examples of what you could do. So you've got 5 minutes or a few minutes of waiting for them to sign on, maybe doing some fun stuff there. Then you've got a little mini math lesson, then some math activities for them to do. Then maybe you kind of take a little break with a read aloud and then go into like a mini wonders lesson, and then a mini little short reading activity or writing activity. And then at the end, you're going to give them their specials assignment and let them work on things after that. When we get to math, reading, science, and social studies, the schedule definitely gets more complicated, of course. So again, this is just walking through that schedule. So signing on, this would be Corey signing on with 6B, and then doing a mini math lesson and activity, and then helping them understand that this group, next you're going to sign on with Mrs. Wirtz at 9:55. So that's what it says there. And then Corey's going to be waiting on that Google Meet. He can just stay on the same Meet the whole time, and then waiting for 5th grade to sign on next at 9:55. And again, math lesson, activity, and then he's got 6A. And then with that 6A group at the end, he just needs to deliver that specials lesson, let them know what they need to do for that. Okay, so there's one for Mr. Hobson, There's a version for Mrs. Wirtz, and then for our science and social studies teacher. So hopefully these are helpful. You could make a copy of this Google Doc and use it like a lesson planning template and kind of replace my examples and explanation with whatever you choose to do, what you're going to do for that synchronous learning day. So hopefully that's helpful. Okay, this section is about Classroom and Google Meet. Again, I've already kind of walked through this. This video walks through it again for you. And then there's these courses here that you can go to if you want to learn more about those different things, especially Google Meet, because you definitely need to know some things about that. Again, you don't have to learn all the things about Classroom if you're not going to be continuing to use it. You just have to establish that space. The Google Meets do need to be recorded. So once you get it launched, make sure you hit record. It'll announce to everyone that it's recording. And then when you end your session, there you'll receive an email that has your attendance in it, first of all, so you don't have to worry about checking to see who signed on. You'll get that in an email later, but also that recording, that video file of that recording will get sent to you. Now, it may take some time. If it's an hour-long recording, it may take an hour before you receive that email because the whole thing has to be processed and uploaded to Drive and all of that. But you'll get that recording, and then that can be sent out to anyone who was not able to connect live to help them get caught up. So if Mr. Emmert makes arrangements with a parent to stay after school one day and get their e-learning work caught up, he can use that video to help that happen. Moving on, this is cheat sheets that might be helpful to you. So this is the teacher one, and it's just telling you what all those buttons in Google Meet are going to let you do, where all the different features are hidden around here. If you're trying to find different things, it's just going to help you find what you need to know and also know how to share your screen. Probably during your lesson, you're going to want to share your screen at some point, or maybe share a document camera. So this is going to help you with that. This is the same thing, but it's guided for students and parents. So just how to get connected, how to get to that Google Classroom, enter the right teacher's classroom, click that join button for Google Meet, make sure your microphone's muted, but your sound is up. Just all those things are here in these little cheat sheets. So you can download and print those and send those home when we're sending home devices. This next section is prep and practice tasks. So this is just a way to help you feel more comfortable and prepared and ready to do this. If you click this, you can make a copy of this document so that it's your own version of it. And this is just for you, but you can go through here and kind of test yourself. Can you do these Google Meet essentials, these things you're going to need to be able to do during a synchronous session? There's also a few optional things down here that you might want to be able to do. So this might be just helpful in your own practice and preparation. You can also reach out to me and say, hey, I'm stuck on step 7. I don't know how to do that. Can you help me? And I'll be happy to walk you through whatever you're struggling with. This is very important. Definitely encourage everyone to read the FAQ prior to our first synchronous day, because these are all questions that have been asked, and we as an admin team have thought through a district-wide answer and response so that we're handling things consistently. So each of these questions in here, if you just click the little arrow next to it, you can open it up and see the answer, and then you can close that back up. If you have any questions that are not addressed on this FAQ, please do ask those, and we'll probably add them to the document because you might not be the only person who has that question. Okay, the rest of this is kind of next level stuff that you may or may not actually need, but hopefully would be helpful to some. Kind of a pro tip is to have a welcome slide up as students are joining that kind of reminds them to mute their microphone. Turning on their camera is a good practice. It helps with engagement during the lesson. If that proves to be too distracting, with they're all making faces at each other and stuff, you could certainly do otherwise. You can choose to have them have their cameras off, but this just kind of tells them what they need to be doing as they're first getting connected. You could also do, instead of having to slide up, you could be just chatting with them or have a fun video playing or something like that. but you can make a copy of this slide if you want so that you have these graphics and then you can customize it. Annotation, as you're trying to figure out how you're going to present your lesson, you might want to learn some things about the annotation tools that are available within Google Meet. Or maybe you want to use Cami to do that. Or if you have a document camera and you're used to using that, in your classroom instruction, you might want to grab that and take it home with you if we send devices home in anticipation of a synchronous learning day, because you can connect that to your computer and use it. You can switch from the webcam over to your document camera, and you could use that as you're presenting your lesson during the live instruction. So there's just some helpful tips in there about that. Okay, we do have quite a few teachers that have experience with this, teaching live lessons with students. Corey did an entire year of doing that. Jenna has some side gigs where she's teaching online lessons to students. And then I ran our virtual academy for grades 6 through 8, or K through 8, when we were during COVID times. So we all have experience with working through the struggles and the bugs of this. All of us are happy to help you in any way. If you want to send one of us kind of your plan to get some feedback on, I'm sure that all of us would be able to say, hey, that's probably going to go pretty well, or you might have some trouble with this. I'd recommend that you do this instead. So be happy to give you some feedback if that helps you feel more comfortable going into this first experience. And then on a synchronous learning day, I will be live as well to support you. So if you click this button here or go to the Awaken Learning PD classroom and click the Google Meet link in there, it takes you to the same place. I will be waiting there live from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. for anyone who has questions or needs some support. Of course, you can also email me anytime that day, and I'll be able to help support you with whatever might be going on. Okay, so I hope all that is helpful to you. Please reach out if you need additional assistance with anything.